Today, I want to talk about simplicity because it's something that's been a major topic on my mind lately, and I've continued to think about it, revisit it, struggle with it, and it's amazing how difficult it is to simplify your life once you start to begin. When you think about it, when you realize that you've got a lot of baggage, and some of the things that we can do to simplify our lives are really obvious. Like maybe you can cut out some of your YouTube watching, or you can cut out some of your toxic friends, or you can just spend time at home instead of going out all the time. There's so many different things. But for me, one thing that's been a bit of an obstacle is the tendency to want to try to figure out what game I should be playing. And sometimes I think it's possible to start to be so fixated on diversifying your portfolio of things you're doing that you just don't have fun with anything anymore. Like, there's been times where I just sit there and I look at my Steam list of installed games in my library and I don't even play any of them. I just look at the list and I can't figure out which one I want to play. And I have this sense of things I would like to do, that I'd like to be part of, that I'd like to participate in. And then when the time comes, I just don't feel it at all. And then I think to myself, I'd like to, get into that, but then I just don't, it's kind of weird. It's like when I'm not doing it, I can think about all the things I'd like to do. But when I have a chance to do it, I just feel fatigued of it. I don't want to. And it's not really that I don't like the content of the games. It's not really that. It's something else. And what I think it is that we just get overloaded. We get overloaded because we're always picking up something else that we're going to get around to doing. And we feel like we're going to miss out. And if you don't sign up for the newest thing, then you're gonna have an inferior experience. That's kind of what we're conditioned to think. We always think that. And then we wind up signed up for so many things. It's crazy. I used to have so many streaming services, and we have all of our different social media accounts, and we're just inundated with all this stuff. You got to check your social media. You got to check the news. You got to follow all your favorite YouTubers. You've got like 50 games in your Steam library that one day you're going to get through all the content for. And the truth is, sometimes the best thing you can do is to just walk away from it. And that doesn't mean that you quit 100% of everything. What it means is you say, you know what? It's okay to just have one thing I'm doing right now. And I'm going to just be present in that completely. And I'm not going to worry about whether I get around to the other things. I'm just going to do I'm going to just be me. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to have fun with something that I'm doing right now. And if I get done with that, I can always switch to something else later. Uninstalling something out of your Steam library doesn't mean that you've turned your back on the franchise and you've just walked away from it forever and you're never again going to have a sense of admiration or interest in that title. You don't have to have every single one installed on your hard drive, ready to go all the time. I had a second hard drive on my computer, and the second hard drive was always a little bit faulty, and then one day it just stopped working. So I unplugged it, and then I realized, I actually didn't need a second hard drive, because one hard drive is more than enough to hold all the games that I need to play at any given time. Recently, I was looking at my Steam library and I was realizing, I have all these games that I've installed. I've got them ready to go. I keep them current, updated, all of that. And it's been more than a month since I've even turned on many of them. But I still feel like I need to have them installed because they've got to be ready whenever I want to hit play. And it creates a sort of an emotional baggage that we're addicted to. It's all the different ways it manifests, but you don't have to be wrapped up in every single thing to have a good time. And that's part of probably why I had such a wonderful time with games when I was a child, because I had fewer of them. When you got a title, you know, you begged your parents to get you a title, and then you got that game and you had it. That had to last you for a while. Maybe it wasn't the best game ever, maybe it wasn't the biggest one ever, but it was yours, and it was probably your only game you had at that moment. There was a new title to play, so you played the heck out of it. And then you got these really amazing memories because it was special. You made memories there. But now we just dabble. We dabble a little bit, then we lose interest. We expect things to be more than what they could ever be. Then we judge them for not being enough, and then we try to move on to the next thing. And everything's disposable. Everything's under the microscope of, is it good enough? We're always comparing things, trying to figure out what's going to be at the top of the pile. And we always are afraid to let things go. There's a story of a monkey that was caught by the man who wanted to catch him because he put a coconut with a hole in it there, and he put a banana in the coconut. And then the monkey came, stuck his hand in the coconut to get the banana, and then he wouldn't let go of the banana, so he was captured, because all the monkey hunter had to do was go over and get the monkey, because he would never let go of the banana inside the coconut so he could get away. And we're kind of like that sometimes. We hang on to so much baggage, so much unneeded things. Stuff in our houses, games in our Steam library, friends in our social media list. And yet it's all the same thing. Tons and tons of noise. But if you just turn it off, then suddenly you realize you have time you didn't know you had. You start seeing details you didn't notice before. There was a time when I used to spend a lot of time driving all over the place, going on road trips. I never stayed around home. And now lately I do. I often spend weeks where I don't ever even leave my neighborhood. I just go for walks, and I see the same houses and the same people and the same hills and the same little town. And I see more now, probably, than I ever saw when I was just stuck in traffic on the interstate. I'm more present now than I was when my idea of a good time was to drive for an hour and a half to a big mall somewhere so that I could get a big container of teriyaki chicken at the food court or something. In many ways, I have a lot less now than I did before in terms of places I go and things I do. But the more I give up, the more I feel at peace. The more I have time to enjoy the experience of what remains. And I think we are just afraid to let go, to actually see what it would be like if we let go. But it's not so bad. Maybe all you really need is half a dozen games in your Steam library. installed on your computer at any given time. Maybe it's okay to put all the rest of them on pause and just get to them one day if you feel like it, if you finish all your other projects. Maybe it's okay to not check the news every day. Maybe it's okay to have days when you don't talk to other people and you just spend time with yourself. We live in a world where it feels like every minute, every inch has to be filled with something. And if it's not, we think we're missing out. And we are so spread thin that we lose the ability to enjoy anything, to get any value out of anything. There's a lot of truth in seeing something through. If it's something you really want to do, to be present in it, to do it 100%. And then when you're done with that, then you move on to something else. It doesn't mean you never move on to something else. It just means that if you're doing something, then you do it fully and completely before you move on to something else. You don't have to dabble in everything. It's okay to leave some things untouched. It's okay to have some places that you never visit. It's okay to have some projects you never get to. And the irony is sometimes if you actually start being present in one thing and you focus on it and you try to make the most of it, then you actually do work through the content faster. You get to the point where you can say, you know, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm satisfied to move on. And then you can move on to a totally new adventure when you finish the one that you were on first. You don't have to be on a whole lot of different adventures all at once. You can just have one adventure at a time. So what does that mean for me? Well, in my life, it means a lot of different things, but from a gaming perspective, it means I've been thinking about playing a lot fewer games. You know, there's a few games I really think are pretty cool, and I'm going to play those. And then there's going to be a number of other ones that I'll just table for a while. It's important to be informed and connected, but there's a lot of apps that you just don't need to have on your phone. I think YouTube is a wonderful resource. It's also an incredible distraction sometimes. Doesn't mean that I don't want to watch YouTube videos, but maybe I'd be better off spending a little bit more time catching up on that quality audiobook that I wanted to work through. Doesn't mean that I won't follow my favorite content creators. I still will. But learning to take a mindful pause, I think it's so important. And as easy as it sounds, it is extremely difficult to put into practice. I would encourage anyone to work on simplifying their life. Try having less clutter, fewer things, fewer activities, and learn to really make the most of the ones that you actually have, that you keep on your plate. And if you're really disappointed by that experience, you can always bring things back. No departure has to be permanent. But give it a try. You might be pleasantly surprised by how much peace you can get not by finding something that's perfect, but by seeing good in what you have and making the most of it instead of always reaching out for the newest distraction or the next big thing. Till next time, thank you for watching.